Hey, welcome back. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live Coding 11Zs. My name is Earl Duque. I don't think anybody's ever noticed. If I'm on a live coding stream, it says Earlio, and any other time when it's more professional, it says Earl Duque. No one's ever noticed that. I always make sure it says the two different things. But welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by
Suya.
There it is.
Hello, everyone.
Sweet. So welcome back to Live Coding 11Zs. It's been a minute. I was supposed to stream last week. I got sick, so I wasn't able to put the stream on. Thankfully, my team was understanding. I canceled the stream. But we're back today. If I go mute all of a sudden, it's because I'm coughing. So that's why I might all of a sudden go quiet, and I try to mute myself before I do that to save your ears. Also, welcome. I'm always happy to see Ailey in the audience. Welcome back. But we have who's in the audience? We got Ailey, we got Fodor, we got Lexi. Wow, we got a ServiceNow developer learning, tuning in from Nigeria. Awesome. I've only been to Ghana in West Africa, so I've not been to Nigeria. One day I would love to go. But welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. In past streams, we've been talking about different things, right? So we've been jumping around topics a lot, trying to figure out like, oh, what should Earl be working on stuff for knowledge? Should Earl be working on stuff for building stuff? We've been jumping around all over the place. But today, I'm wanting to bring back this live stream, these hour blocks of live coding 11Zs with Earl. Back to what I used to build all the time for fun, and that is weird stuff on ServiceNow. So that's what we're going to go back to. That's what we're going to be starting to do on our show. Yeah. And then Sujin's here to hang out, even though it's like close to midnight for him. So thanks, Sujin, for joining us. But I keep telling him, like, man, you need to go to sleep. And he's like, no, I want to be on the stream. I'm like, all right, okay. Well, you can join. That's fine. Fodor says in the weeds they went live on ServiceNow on Monday. Wow, congrats on the go live. That's a big milestone for that. Cool. And hey Joe. There's that cough. I'm sorry. Okay. Gotta add the screen. Okay. I have been doing a lot more vibe coding, to be frank. I've been doing a lot more. Not just in ServiceNow, a lot in ServiceNow, a lot of outside of ServiceNow. But I've been learning a lot about what that means and how to do it well, how to do it with good guardrails and stuff like that. And it's becoming pretty ridiculous how powerful it can be. And so I may be doing a lot of vibe coding in this one. So I think that might be an ongoing theme for this. But I'm going to try to do it as much as possible in platform because that makes the most relevance to you all watching it. If you turn into past streams, I did a lot of stuff in Claude Code in the past, and I might have to go there on certain occasions, but most of the time, I think I'm going to try to stick to being within the platform just to make it more relevant to everybody watching this. Someone's already asking, why is my global scope on? I haven't created a, okay. What a call out, Lexi. Okay. I made a global scoped app as a way to debug something for a coworker that messaged me randomly yesterday. Okay. I wasn't in global scope. I'll show you. There's nothing in here. I wasn't actually making anything. What a fun call out. That you are learning. Good job. But no, that's hilarious. I was in the global scope because somebody was saying like, hey, how come my source control stuff wasn't showing up in ServiceNow Studio? And I wasn't sure if they remembered to make something in a scoped application versus global. So I went in and tested to see if that messed up their buttons. Fun fact, apparently global scope works for source controlled applications also. So that wasn't it. But that's the reason why I am in a global scoped app right now. I'm not going to stay in a global scoped app, I promise. That's hilarious. Anyways, so I'm gonna jump into the ServiceNow IDE because that's where we do build agent stuff. And my idea for a app build that I want to work on during these streams is a mud. So I'll call this live coding 11Z mud will be my workspace name. Leave the description off. I'm creating a workspace because you need to create a workspace before you can start vibing out. I needed to install the latest version. Hopefully that doesn't cause a problem. Okay, I'll do that later. But what we're building is a mud, and if you don't know what a mud is, that means you're probably younger. If for those, does anybody watching know? Sujin, do you know what a mud is? MUD.
I think I'm on the younger side.
Okay, well, so have you ever heard of the game Zork?
Zork, I think so.
Let's see if we can find Zork online. Zork. This is Zork, okay? It's a text game, text-based game. I'm west of the house. You are standing in an open field west of a white house with a boarded front door. There is a small mailbox here. Go to the mailbox. Oh, it's here. Open mailbox. There's a leaflet. Read leaflet. Zork is a game of adventure, danger, and low cunning. In it, you will explore some of the most amazing territory you've ever seen. Go to house. Open door. Break. Open door. Open window. Go south. You are facing the south side. So this is Zork, right? You're trying to. You get points for doing certain things. You famously, if you've ever heard the term, you were eaten by a grue. That's where Zork comes from. It's a very old school nerd text thing. But that's what Zork is. Like early computers, someone made this game and you're trying to uncover a mystery and figure out all these different things. You get a score. Okay, this is an online version, so it's giving me ads. But that's what Zork is. A mud is a multi-user dungeon. And so after Zork came out and got really popular, other people started making these text-based adventures, but they started making it multiplayer. That's fun. So Ailey says, Zork is how my dad taught me about coding, if-else statements. Yeah, Zork is a wild, large, it's basically a big if-else statement. No, there's better logic than that. But making a game like Zork is a really fun way to learn how to do programming and learn coding and stuff like that. In fact, most like computer science college degrees, like eventually you might make a Zork type game. And so eventually someone made a multi-user dungeon. We're like, oh, you're not just in it by yourself, but you might encounter other people actually playing the game also. It's multiplayer Zork, basically. That's what a mud is, multi-user dungeon. So, wow, there's so much exposition to catch you all up on this. Okay, sorry, I'm monologuing, but welcome to my stream. In 2018, we're going in story mode, so let me go. In 2018, I attended my first, I attended my second knowledge ever.
Okay.
And at that knowledge, I was walking through the CreatorCon Expo, and I was stopped by somebody at the hackathon table, and they were saying, "Join the hackathon." And I went, I was like, "What is this? I'm new. I don't know what this is." She's like, "Oh, this is a hackathon for the next 8 hours. People are going to be building stuff on ServiceNow, entirely on ServiceNow during this 8 hours." And I was like, "That's interesting." She's like, "Well, you should join," and she persuaded me to join. And that I sat down and I just decided to make a mud. I made a mud in ServiceNow. That's basically what I did for 8 hours straight, and it was really fun. It wasn't until okay, I'll keep the story going. I finished the 8 hours. Back then, they picked all the finalists that night. So you had to wait around at midnight to find out if you were a finalist or not. And so I waited around, and I found out I was a finalist. They picked my app as a finalist. So fast forward the next day, there used to be a live presentation format, and so I live presented my multi-user dungeon. It was made inside of the journal entries. So you would have an interface, and you would talk inside of a journal entry, and there was a coordinate system, and if you were at the right coordinates, you could talk to other people. Like your journal comments would get copied over to other people's journal comments, and so you would be able to talk to each other through this journaling system. It was really cool. I thought it was really fun, but because it was all running on ServiceNow. And then all the other 9 finalists were like, we're going to help the healthcare industry by making these things. Ambulance workers are going to have this great app to be able to do this thing. We're going to change the world for this thing. And all these, and then I'm sitting there like, I made a game and I didn't know people were being serious about this. And so I made this most ridiculous game. But that was, a lot of people were like, that's ridiculous what you made. You should come hang out and chat with us. And then that's where I met so many of my long forever friends now that were all ServiceNow developers. We were all like-minded people. It was one of my favorite stories about community. People saw that I was just trying to be a developer, and I was brought into circles of friends, and they're some of my best friends now. So
it's basically hackathon for fun became hackathon for good for you.
yeah, basically, it was just I was just having fun. I didn't realize, but I remember being 8 hours, headphones on, just like typing away, building stuff, and I have some of my original files that I saved. Let me share my screen again. This is the original player controller JavaScript that I had from that hackathon, and as Ailey was saying, it's a bunch of if-else statements. This is why went into the story. It's basically a bunch of if-else statements of like, it's a huge switch case, a bunch of else-if statements. But it was a way for us to it was a way for me to control what happens when the person talks. Like, oh, if they say go or walk north, then what does it do? And what happens if they say any of these things? Like, I handmade this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
To make this little game work. And it's really funny because we live in a world of ongoing developer support. Like, our products aren't normally finished. That's software as a service, right? So we as ServiceNow employees, me and Sujin, we work for a SaaS company. And you all watching this are either working for customers or partners or learning ServiceNow, and your software is ongoing. Like, you might have to update it later. There might be a bug that a user finds, and you need to fix it. Games are different. I love game development because most of the time, if it's not a live service, you ship it as is and hope for the best. And if the code is messy and ugly, it doesn't matter. It still works, and you don't have to worry about optimizing. So game development is really funny to me because you don't have to worry about all of the how ugly your code is. And my code back then was pretty ugly. It's probably pretty ugly now, but that's fine. But if I don't know how many of you are gamers in the audience and stuff like that, but there are some games that are coded very badly, but they're fantastic games. Like Celeste is one of my favorite games. It's a Twitch platformer, like Twitch movement platformer. You have to move really fast and react very quickly. The JavaScript the script that controls Celeste, the character, is like thousands of lines long, and it's just a bunch of if and else's.
Okay.
But that game is sold millions. There's another indie game, Undertale. Undertale is such a popular thing. If you look at Undertale, the coding behind Undertale is bonkers, right? The entire dialogue tree, every single dialogue that happens in that game is one case switch statement. Yeah, all the dialogue is one case. Yeah, it's different to develop games versus developing software as a service. But that's why sometimes it's fun to make stuff like this on the side, make games and stuff like that, because if it works, and you don't have to worry about anything else past that. Yeah. Prodigy was saying, like, oh, I wonder if that is why there are Easter eggs. I like hiding Easter eggs in all my games too. So usually, if there's something that it has been built entirely by me, the easiest thing to know if I hit an Easter egg is usually I hide things under the Konami code. So up, down, left, right, BA, enter. Like if you do that in a lot of places I've been, that usually does something. Oh, I gotta add that to my website. I haven't done that yet. Yeah, okay. All right. Maybe we should start building something because we're like 17 minutes in and I haven't actually typed any code or prompting anything. But if you've ever joined my previous streams, that's kind of the vibe of my live streams is if someone asks about something and I have a relevant story, I like to go into story mode because I believe storytelling is one of the best ways to impart lessons learned to other people, because you're more likely to remember a story that I've told as opposed to just seeing the things I've done on screen. And so I think that is more powerful. And so I like to go into storytelling mode as often as I can. And so hopefully you all get used to that. And I have been used to that. Lexi, add me on LinkedIn. That's the best way to keep in touch with me. That's the fastest way. It's just, search my name, Earl Duque, Duque on LinkedIn. I'll see you. Hey, Jerry. Jerry's in the house too. Says, hey, Sujin and Earl.
Hello.
It's Jerry. Jerry has been playing games with some of my coworkers, and I've been meaning to ask if I can join too, but I don't have the games you've been playing. So, anyways. Okay, so Mud. I have not prepared anything for this stream, so this is all going into it blindly, but I want to create a multi-user dungeon game. How do I want to go about this? I have different strategies for how do I want to go about doing this first step. I like having a robust first prompt for build agent.
Definitely.
I think I can have build agent do my interview style. So okay, what I'm talking about first prompt. If you've not played with build agent before, you feel free to go get a personal developer instance on developer.servicenow.com. Build agent is activated and you get like 10 usages out of it before it stops per month, I think. But there's different ways to go about it. I can just press enter here and it'll just do its best. But I like to give a lot more detail on my initial prompts because for me, large language models operate best if it's given all of the context on the first go. Because context windows get muddier the longer you're talking. It's a fact. Chat agents, they have to reprocess entire conversations every time you keep talking to it. And so the more and more you do that, hey Justin, hold on, I want to make sure he sees. Hi Justin. That's Jerry's son.
Okay.
I'm sorry, like I'm gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna keep monologuing. I like saying everybody's names that are in the chat because it helps me remember who's been here and hanging out and stuff like that. I've also had the privilege of being able to meet a lot of you in person. My team gets to travel around the world to be with developers, to help with conferences and stuff like that. And so it's one of my biggest privileges that I actually know some of you in person and have gotten to meet you at person. Not just Jerry, but like Ailey has been to Knowledge before and has won hackathons. So when I was participating a lot with hackathons, I got to see all that stuff too. So it's fun being able to put online names to faces and know how we've been hanging out and stuff like that. I would. Oh, you're in Munich. Prodigy says they're in Munich. I was just there last year for a ServiceNow summit, so World Forum, I mean. So yeah, we get to travel a bunch, so it's fun to see you all. But anyways, okay, back to the LLM. The large language models, they get muddier the more it has to process. Like, even if it has, it's a computer and it has all the text and shouldn't be making mistakes, it still has to decide on its own which parts of text are the most relevant to include in future parts of the conversation. And so as the context gets longer and longer and longer as you talk with a AI chat, it starts not knowing when to use certain earlier things. It has to judge if more recent conversation is more relevant than past conversation. It has to judge if you made contradictory statements, how much does it want to weigh versus the other part. So it gets a lot more messy, which is why in Claude Code, I like to clear the conversation a lot between tasks, basically. But for things like Build Agent, it's usually better to have a really good start before it builds. And so I'm going to try to have it do the interview process, which is what I usually like to do for designing things. So I will usually go into Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini and say like, hey, I want a game design document, a GDD, or I want to start a products requirements document, a PRD. So use those terms when you prompt your LLMs, because those are really helpful terms to say to an LLM so it knows the context at which you're trying to go for, a GDD or a PRD. And I say, hey, I'm building a PRD for this app I want to make. You are going to interview me until you have all the details you need for you to be able to create this PRD on my behalf, which I will then feed to a coding agent. That's usually what I do. So I'm going to try to do that within Build Agent right here. I want to create a multi-user dungeon game inside of ServiceNow. You will interview me and ask me details about this game so that you can build your own product requirements document, so that you can build your own product requirements document to later build this up. Ask me only 1 or 2 questions at a time, because you never know what follow-up questions you might have based on my answers. Once you have enough information to build out a PRD, stop the interview, present me the PRD to review, and we'll move forward from there. Jerry, great to see Earl prompting live. You know, that is not. I'm apparently a very prolific prompter. This is like, if it wasn't on stream and I didn't want to make you all sit through watching me type this entire time, I probably would have wrote like 8 times longer of a prompt before I pressed enter. I'm really bad. I usually voice prompt also, so there's that.
And that is why we call you the prompt king.
It's an important skill. I would encourage everybody to start learning that stuff.
Definitely.
You know, okay, so I'm going to do another aside right? Because like that's the important stuff I want to keep talking about. Prompting is a skill, right? It is a skill, but where does that skill come from, and why? How does that connect to ServiceNow? Um, I think ServiceNow is a really cool industry. Um, this idea of people that a lot of ServiceNow developers come from other industries. They weren't traditionally coders when they were growing up or in school. Um, I'm one of those. I've talked about this in streaming before. I didn't start off in coding. I didn't go to school for coding. I fell into it, right? Um, but that means I came in from other industries, or maybe you've come from other roles and have inherited the developer stuff regarding ServiceNow. I think that's so good. And that's perfect for where the industry has gone today. Because oftentimes, in the most traditional sense, the developer world wasn't great about having soft skills. And I know that's a massive generalization. And if that's not you, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying, generally speaking, developers didn't always have the best soft skills, but ServiceNow developers, because we come from other industries, we often have had experience with soft skills, working with other people, project management, dealing with customers to talk about either even just help desk stuff or having customers to talk requirements over. There's a lot of, yeah. See, Jerry says came from the service desk role. My first IT job, my first tech job ever was a help desk. So like a lot of stuff you learn about people and talking to people and soft skills and being able to manage uh, like conversations and stuff like that can be learned in these other industries. And now that we've shifted to this AI world where I know how to code, but it's easier if I use a coding agent like Build Agent or Claude Code. Now my soft skills are useful because having good soft skills means you could talk to these chatbots better, like being able to clearly explain what you need, being able to articulate your requirements in a cohesive manner, being able to understand nuance and where you need to be specific about certain things and being over high level on other things. Those are all very useful skills when talking to an AI, and it's fun to see a lot of those skills that of ServiceNow developers nowadays are translating well into AI, into the world of AI. Among other things, like there's a lot of different reasons why coming from another sector or from other careers are super useful. But yeah, highly recommend it if you're learning ServiceNow development. Start at a help desk, even if you know ServiceNow dev. Like that's a great way to get your foot in the door. That's a great way to learn systems. That's a great way to learn how that company operates. And if you show that you're a great team player and you're a good contributor and stuff like that, then you'll be a great candidate for when they have those open developer positions, which is what happened for me. Yeah.
And I think that is why I was seeing one post today that people associated with Rise Up, they have done good. Like a few of them are current MVPs also. So that shows that what you carry forward as you're learning from other sectors can help you grow in service now too. So definitely,
Yeah.
valid point.
Okay. Back into the app. It's saying it's ready to interview me. What's the core theme or setting for your mud game? For example, is it fantasy based with wizards and dragons, sci-fi, modern day, or something else entirely? And what would you say is the primary goal or objective for players in this game? I usually like audience participation. So the first person that says what they want the theme to be, that's what it is. If nobody picks something, then I'll probably pick fantasy. Because okay, I'll wait to see what people say in the chat, and I'll explain why I would pick fantasy. Because after someone in the chat, I know there's a stream delay too, so we have to wait a little bit, and I have to pretend to talk a little bit before someone knows that I'm asking a question to the audience. I've always tried to fix that stream delay, but I don't know how to get that to minimize. I thought I fixed it one time, but there's apparently a stream delay. Horror. Okay, we're doing it. We're going. Who said that? Is that Jill Hermetz? Okay. We're doing horror. Have you been playing Resident Evil 9? Have you been playing Resident Evil 9? Okay. Let's do horror. But keep it PG-13. Well, we're gonna say keep it PG-13 just in case. Okay, so we're doing all right, everyone wants horror. I was not expecting horror to be the theme of this mud, but it is what it is. We got 3 people saying they want it. Okay. Okay, so why I would have said fantasy is because knowing that this kind of game exists the most along the lines of fantasy roleplay games means that what if this model has that data in it to be trained that it trained off of, that means there's more likely to have been more fantasy based examples for it to work off of. Therefore, it would have best chances of giving me content that is accurate. Now I have to hope that it also is trained on a good amount of horror information. Keep it Five Nights at Freddy level. And then PT. I finished PT. That was really scary, and you can't play PT anymore because it was a demo that was on PlayStation 4, I think, and you can't get it anymore. But if you want to see a really creepy game that looked very realistic for the technology at the time, look up PT. Woo! Yeah. Ailey's saying, so if everything crashes and burns, it's the audience's fault. And that's correct. It is entirely all your fault if the Let's Do Horror, keep it PG-13. Think Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, we're going to go with that. I can't believe I play a lot of horror games and I watch it. I still, it scares me so much still. And it... See, I have so many stories. I'm such a storyteller. I'm sorry, I have to keep doing these asides. I'm letting it work the LLM and I'll do stories on the meantime. There was a Steam event years ago called the Potato Challenge, or Golden Potato. You could probably Wikipedia it, actually. It was when Portal 2 just was about to come out, but Valve started teasing a game was coming out. They were going to announce a game, but we also noticed that dozens of games started getting updated across Steam, and if you went into those games and looked around, some people figured out there was if you do a certain thing, a potato appeared on your Steam profile. And so it launched this huge alternate reality game, ARG, where people were going into all of these games that were older games, and they were suddenly being updated and looking for potatoes and figuring out these puzzles to get these potatoes, because we were trying to figure it out. And the game evolved into real life things. People were going into the middle, finding potatoes on top of buildings in in real life, and people were doing all these things, and some of the biggest key players to the puzzles and stuff like that, they all just disappeared. It was a wild thing. It was weird to watch this all happen in real time, and we were like, where'd they go? Apparently Valve took all the key contributors to the puzzles and brought them to Seattle and had them come and help launch Portal 2's announcement and the game going live and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then all the people that completed the potato puzzles, and there was 18 or 24 puzzles, I can't remember, you got the gold potato, and I still prominently display it on my Steam profile because it's one of the most rare badges you can have. But along with getting the gold potato, they gave the entire Valve game catalog to each of those people, and so several hundred of us got the entire Valve catalog of games, including Portal 2, for free, which was really fun. But why I'm telling you this story, because I had to play Amnesia, which is a horror game, and it was the first horror game I have ever played. And the game doesn't have weapons. It doesn't have any. You have to hide from monsters if they're chasing you, and you have to be scared basically while playing this game. And I had to play scared through this game to get this damn potato so that I can get the stupid potatoes on my profile. But I had to play through this one DLC for Amnesia, and I remember running through a hallway as something was like chasing me, and right when it registered that I got the potato, I literally, this is what I did. I pressed Alt F4 to shut the game down to desktop. I took my headphones off because the game tells you should be playing with headphones for the full effect. I took my headphones off. I stood up from my desk. I walked outside and I stood in the sun for 30 minutes. I was so anxious and scared that I couldn't handle it anymore, and I had to stand out in the sunlight so that I can like calm myself and feel warmth again.
Oh man.
So I don't do horror games very well, and so you all making me make this a horror game might not be great for me. All right.
As Jerry says, we love your stories.
Oh no, I just stopped monologuing too long. I got locked out. Oh man, that's so embarrassing. What is the timeout on my app? Oh man, I typed in the wrong password. Give me 1 second. Oh my goodness. Okay. It is like Alien Isolation games. Alien Isolation games. Oh, but Alien Isolation games are wild because they have an AI that knows. Let's talk about old AI. AI is so cool. Alien Isolation. This game, the developers created a two-system AI. One AI where it knew where you were at all times, and another AI where it didn't know where you were, and they would communicate to each other to create like emergent gameplay that was constantly keeping you on edge because the stinking alien didn't know where you were, but based off of what you did, it could suddenly find out and then rush over to you. Yeah, so creating systems is a fun thing. Okay, where did my there it is. Okay. Uh-oh, where'd my old chat go? Uh-oh, where did it go? Oh, that's sad. Am I in the wrong workspace?
My God.
No, I'm in it. At least we weren't too far. It's usually supposed to be in chat history. I'm surprised it's not there. Let me refresh real quick. Oh, sad. Okay, we're gonna have to start over. Let me voice do this real quick. I want to create a multi-user dungeon that is playable inside of a ServiceNow UI. I want you to interview me about this app so that we can create a product requirements document together. Interview me to get details about this and ask me follow-up questions according to my answers so that you can produce a PRD. Only ask me 1 or 2 questions at a time because you never know what follow-up questions you might have according to my answers. Keep interviewing me until you have enough information to create this PRD and then present it to me before we start working. Let's see if it asks me the genre question. I should have added that in the theme. My bad. I can say it now. Okay. What type of MUD experience are you envisioning? Is this more of a text-based adventure game like classic MUDs, or are you thinking of a more visual graphic interface? Who would be the primary users of this game? First of all, the theme I forgot to mention is going to be a horror theme, but keep it PG-13. Think Five Nights at Freddy's as a genre. Regarding your questions, the type of MUD experience that we are envisioning is like a classic MUD where it's mostly text-based adventuring, but more of a sandbox for us to be able to have players move around a text world and potentially interact with each other, but also just observe the things that are around them. The gamified part of it, we're not going to do in this scope. We are more trying to make sure the systems that allow multiple users to use this work. The primary users of this game are ServiceNow developers having fun. Maybe even as a Easter egg 404 page. Also, as that's generating, a side note to all of you, I highly recommend talking things out. It helps so much just to talk it out. At least for me, I feel like I'm much more natural about what I want to get when I just talk it out. Some people might use AI to like generate responses to like chat messages and stuff like that, but for me, I just say it, and it comes out better, and it comes more naturally. All right, it says a horror themed sandbox for ServiceNow developers. How do you envision the world layout? Are we talking about a single spooky location or multiple connected areas that compares? I want it to be multiple connected areas that players can navigate between. No. I want it to be multiple connected areas that players can navigate between. For the multi-user aspect, what kind of interactions should players be able to see from each other? For example, should they see when other players enter leave rooms and be able to chat with each other, or just observe each other's presence? For kind of interactions, all of that. I want them to be able to see when people are in the same area as them, when people enter or leave that area. I want them to be able to chat with each other if they're in the same area, etc. How are we doing on time? 43 minutes. That's pretty solid. Okay. For the real-time updates, seeing other players move, chat messages appearing, are you open to using ServiceNow's real-time capabilities, or do you have a preference for how frequently the UI should refresh to show changes? For the real-time updates, I want you to use whatever technology is best for the UI that the people will be using to do this. So that is up to you to architect how that should work. So let me pause. So is that the answer I want to do? So if it was up to me, it depends on where I'm building this. If I was in a service portal, it would be via APIs and a record watcher. If it was inside of a React page, then yeah, see, at that point I wanted to, this is where I wouldn't know, because if I was building it outside of ServiceNow, I'd probably use a WebSocket, but I don't think we can build custom WebSockets in ServiceNow yet. So I don't know what technology we would use besides like occasionally polling an API, which is messy. It's not real time at that point. I don't know. So one of the good things about AI is that you can use it for discoverability, right? Like I'm explicitly saying like, you know what? I want you to decide that because I don't know what's best. All right, I'll keep it at that. I just talked myself into keeping it like that. Regarding the horror theme and world design, are you thinking of creating a specific narrative setting like the ServiceNow offices after midnight or in an abandoned data center? Or would you prefer a more generic creepy environment? I like that. I like something super ServiceNow related, like a ServiceNow offices after midnight creepy kind of theme.
It's like I'm leaving one of those right now.
Oh, you know what we could call this game? Five Night at Fred Bloody's. Instead of Five Night at Freddy's, Five Night at Fred Luddy's. That works out so well, actually. Oh, I should have said that in the chat because then they would have known to run with it. Oh, the team is going to get a big kick if they find out we're making a Five Night at Fred Luddy's game. Let me understand the player experience better. Should players have persistent identities characters that remember when they log back in, or should each session be fresh, anonymous players who start from a default location? Users will be logging in, so we will know who they are. So let's be able to have persistent identities for each person that's logged in. I don't know if you all can hear it right now, but a robot vacuum is on my feet right now, and it's really bothering me, and I should have told it to not do this room. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is ridiculous. It's under my desk.
Yeah, we can hear the
embarrassing
music of it.
Okay, this is very distracting. Okay. What kind of basic actions should players be able to perform besides moving and chatting? For example, should they be able to examine objects in detail, pick up items? For this prototype, let's stick to certain basic actions like moving and chatting, but also let's have the ability to move objects between environments. Thus, we'll need an inventory or a way for people to pick up and drop objects and keep them on them. And no, see, let's stick to certain basic actions like moving and chatting, but also let's have the ability to move objects between environments. I want users to be able to pick up and drop objects, but not necessarily store that object with them permanently. So if they move between rooms, that object is just within the room instead of on that person. Because I don't want people to put stuff in like their inventory and then disappear and never come back. Yeah, that's good enough. For initial prototype, how many rooms areas are you thinking? Maybe 5 to 6 connected room locations. For the UI itself, are you envisioning this as a single page interface where everything appears in one view, or would 5 to 6 connected locations are great. And for the UI, I always prefer single page applications appearing in one view to simplify things. Oh, I wasn't in the chat box when I did that one. 1 second. Yeah. Yes, 5 to 6 connected rooms is a good start, and keep everything as a single page application. Single page application is, I don't know if that applies, but single page application SPA is a term you would know if you used to do a lot of service portal development, because designating a portal as a single page application is what enabled a lot of the being able to navigate between parameter links without making the user navigate to a new page. So that's why I'm explicitly saying it here, because hopefully, because it's trained on ServiceNow stuff, it would understand what I mean by single page application. The vacuum is still causing mayhem inside my office. Why am I doing this live? Okay. Oh my god. Okay, here it is. PRD. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, good. It stopped before I actually started making things. Let's review. A horror-themed text-based multi-user dungeon built within ServiceNow as an interactive sandbox experience for ServiceNow developers. Set in ServiceNow offices after midnight with a PG-13 horror atmosphere reminiscent of Five Nights at Freddy's. ServiceNow developer admin issues, world design. I'm just making sure if it interpreted. Oh, you know what I also usually do at the beginning of the prompt? I usually will explicitly say, I want you to interpret as more, or I want you to never interpret what I say and be explicit about what I like. Some it's a good indicator. Like if I don't think I have answers to all the potential questions, I will tell it like if there are open-ended questions during development, you should answer them yourselves and just report to me what decision you made. Versus anytime you come up to a situation where there's a new question that you should have asked, you should stop and then ask me about it and then let me decide. Like I usually will say that at the very beginning. So I'm just making sure what it has in here is only stuff that we've talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's everything is here. Let me success criteria. Yeah. The game will be called Five Nights at Fred Bloody's. Otherwise, everything looks good. Go ahead. Hey, Armitage. Greeting from Paris. Oh, I missed. I've been to Paris twice so far, both for ServiceNow. So that's nice. Hopefully, I get to go again this year. But I love that. Jerry's asking, will we have the opportunity to play this game? I hope so. we'll see. It all depends on how well it's good. Yeah, I'm hoping ServiceNow. I'm using a build agent, which is inside of ServiceNow, to hopefully make this game. We're playing with it. Otherwise, I have good ideas of how to make this inside ServiceNow, and so I'm using this as a first try, and then I will use this as a baseline to go in and code it myself, and then I'll move from there. If it works, if it doesn't work exactly how I want, then I know enough that I can jump in and try to fix it. So that's the goal. It's just like any other coding agent. If you're vibe coding an app, like you're going to make the best app if you know what you're doing and know how to debug and know how to read the code. That's the truth for any vibe coding agent right now. Yeah, so what is it doing right now? It's reading through its own knowledge sources. It's coming up with its table structure. Yeah, this is usually where I stand up and walk away and then come back after a while with coffee. I usually make coffee before streams, but I didn't have time.
Or it's a time for another story from her.
I have 5 back-to-back hours of meetings today.
Oh man.
See ya, Ailey.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this finishes building within the last 5 minutes that we have, just so that we can look at it and then resume next episode with debugging and stuff like that. But it might not finish in time. We'll see. Sujin, what time is it now?
4 minutes to 1.
Oh my goodness.
As I said, like service now offices during night time.
So you're students are
I'm
like,
living
what's weird about that?
it.
That's a normal day for me.
That's a normal day for me.
I know I could be reading through all of these things right now, but isn't that boring on a stream? Like to watch me just reading through every line. I that's the caveat, right? Like every single time we do vibe coding on stream, a responsible developer would be ensuring that every line of code written is secure, is correct, is doing what you're expecting it to do. That in a real setting is what you should be doing. On a live stream setting where we're just having fun, I might not read every line, but I'm going to constantly be reminding people that you should be. I mean, I've been seeing it created some script includes. I mean, I guess I can look in here and see what it's making. I love TypeScript files. TypeScript files are so useful compared to JavaScript. It started it started an index, but it hasn't made anything yet. Yeah, so it's getting there. This is like our the modern day equivalent to the XKCD compiling comic. So this is like the equivalent now. It's like it's running. The agent is running. So let's talk about real world vibe coding. So what we're doing in Build Agent right now is we are vibe coding an app, right? But a lot of people have been asking like, oh, like what's the difference between vibe coding inside of ServiceNow versus vibe coding in like Claude Code or something like that? And the easiest difference that I keep reminding people is that vibe coding isn't the end all for production applications. You may have Claude Code, and you may want to design an app, and it can make a cool prototype on it, but that's on your local machine. That's not connected to anything. You need to know a lot more systems to get any of that stuff working. Yeah, you might have built a database on your own computer, but it's a lot more harder to connect to a remote database. And I would know because I have created production apps that are connected to databases. I have an app store app that I vibe coded and had to work through and learn Swift to be able to put it on Apple Store. I've made prototypes for games for fun on that render graphics and all that stuff like that via vibe coding. So I'm playing with it in a full capacity. But to get some things to production ready when you're just using Claude Code is you need to know a lot of stuff. Like an iOS app that has a remote database. Well, now I had to learn Railway. I had to learn S3 buckets. I needed to learn photo storage on remote databases. I needed to learn Cloudflare. I needed to learn all these things just to get that stuff working. So the scope of it, like you can't just vibe code all of those things. The difference, though, when you do it in ServiceNow, is that it's already running on production software. So that's the cool part. Like when it builds a database table, it has the online database already. It makes those connections. It makes those things. It's already connected. So that's one of the biggest benefits of being able to use a Vibe agent on a platform that already exists. Vibe coding agent, yeah. And as I finished talking, it looks like it made the core system, 4 tables, the game engine, a React UI, horror theme, features implemented. will you give me the link to the React UI and also generate sample room data and objects? Okay, we ran out of time, so we're gonna end the stream there, and then next stream we're gonna start off with running through the app itself. All right, cool. I think I'm getting late for a meeting. That's why I'm all of a sudden like, oh no, we gotta end. Hey, thanks for hanging out. I hope you had fun. Hope it was enjoyable. Sujin, go to sleep.
Definitely after this. Thanks everyone for joining.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye. Do I have an outro video? Nope, still haven't made one. Bye, everyone. I'm just gonna end the stream.